Hi folks, this is Tony for aminutetomidnight.com. Short video here. I want to highlight some things that have happened this week in regards to global internet censorship.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's optimistic about the growing relationship between tech companies and governments.
This is the first time that we've got both governments and tech companies coming together. You know, that means that when we're talking about algorithms, it's going to be the beginning of the conversation, not the end of one.
According to stuff.co.nz, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's Christchurch Call has been signed by an unprecedented grouping of tech companies and world leaders in Paris. The pledge from the world's leading social media platforms and 17 governments includes a range of commitments to fight the spread of terrorism and extremist content online. The 3-page non-binding pledge document is a result of 6 weeks of frenetic activity following the terror attack on March 15th, which saw 51 Muslim worshippers killed and the atrocity live streamed on Facebook. It is believed to be the first agreement signed between tech companies and governments at this scale. In the New Zealand Herald, it said, significantly, tech companies have pledged to review their business models and take action to stop users being funneled into extremist online rabbit holes that could lead to radicalisation. That includes sharing the effects of their commercially sensitive algorithms to develop effective ways to redirect users away from dark single narratives. This may include using algorithms and other processes to redirect users from such content, or the promotion of credible, positive alternatives to counter-narratives, the Christchurch Call action document says. Okay, so fair enough redirecting people away from terrorists and those type of extremist radical groups, but is this going to stop there, or will they use these algorithms that they share to also redirect people away from content such as Christian content or views that differ from governments or that are not socialist, that do not line up with socialist philosophies that are increasingly apparently espoused by these tech giants and many governments, of course, as well. Or, for example, somebody perhaps doesn't agree with the LGBT agenda or mass immigration or some other thing, and if they make a live stream video on that, is that going to land them in hot water and get them banned? Wouldn't surprise me. And we are also likely to see government intervention as well. Jacinda Ardern, quoting her, online, we as governments may choose regulation as a tool to address the issue, but we need to recognise that regulation alone will not solve the problem. We need to work collectively with tech companies, with civil society to make meaningful change. And where we regulate, these regulations must not become a barrier to free, open and interoperable internet. We must maintain and support an internet that acts for good. So in other words, governments are going to regulate and intervene. And for their part, Facebook will now block people who seriously violate its content rules from using its Facebook live streaming service without giving further warning, Vice President Guy Rosen said in a statement. The length of the bans that will be imposed under the one-strike policy could vary, but might last 30 days if it was a first offence, Rosen said. Given my own personal experience with Facebook, putting people in jail and banning content and so on, Facebook jail for periods of time for unspecified violations of their terms, usually through something that's Christian or not mainstream, I would not be holding my breath as to how well they will implement this new policy. Just a quick recap of some of those who were actually at this Paris summit. They include European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, French President Macron, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau, UK Prime Minister Theresa May, Irish Prime Minister, Norway Prime Minister, Jordan's King Abdullah II, Senegal's President, Indonesia's President, and Twitter's chief executive, Amazon, Google, Wikimedia and Facebook all had representatives there, and Microsoft as well. Now, one leader of the world that was not there was Donald Trump at the Paris summit, and the White House put out a statement making clear the US will not be joining the pledge. In the statement, the White House said they support the overarching goals of the pledge but are not able to sign on. The White House actually, conversely, has used their Twitter and Facebook accounts on Wednesday the 15th to make statements such as, the Trump administration is fighting for free speech online. No matter your views, if you suspect political bias has caused you to be censored or silenced online, we want to hear about it. And that's on the official White House Twitter and Facebook feeds on their pages. And on the White House website, you can actually report social media freedom of speech breaches. And it says here, social media platforms should advance freedom of speech, yet too many Americans have seen their accounts suspended, banned, or fraudulently reported for unclear violations of user policies. No matter your views, if you suspect political bias has caused such an action to be taken against you, share your story with President Trump. Well, my comment would be here, it's not only Americans who've had that happen to them, and neither is it just political either. It is also on grounds of religious beliefs and so on as well, that these actions and violations by the social media platforms have occurred. Just a quick wrap-up of who the driving force behind the Paris summit on terrorism, anti-terrorism and social media was. It is Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Around the world, most people had never heard of Jacinda Ardern before the Christchurch attack on March 15th. Now they would have seen her wearing a hijab in solidarity with Muslims and so on, and now doing this summit in Paris. Jacinda Ardern is the 40th Prime Minister of New Zealand. She began her career as a researcher for former Prime Minister Helen Clark. In 2008, she was elected the President of the International Union of Socialist Youth. She also received a Freemasons scholarship to get her through university. I have seen it stated online, though I can't prove it, that she is supposedly a member of the Order of the Eastern Star, which is a Masonic order. She definitely did receive a Masonic scholarship, there's no doubt about that, and she has been instrumental in giving out of Freemason university scholarships to future supposed leaders. So make no mistake about it, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is a socialist with ties to Freemasonry.